Okay, we are live talking PGA Tour, PGA Championship for the 2025 season. I'm your host, Greg DePalma. Joining me to take a look at this year's PGA Championship is Jared Smola. Jared's back. How's it going, Jared?
Good. Happy to be back. Happy to be to the second major of the season. The first major was definitely the best golf tournament I've ever watched and possibly the best sporting event I've ever watched. I still feel that way a month later. I thought it might be, kind of in the moment when it happened, but I still feel that way a month later.
That was quite amazing. And what really made it amazing was a bunch of things. It was the whole idea of Rory looking for his fourth major or win in all four majors. The time it took, the fact that he had a big lead with about 9 or 10 holes, the fact that he started to choke, the fact that he came back from choking and made incredible shots, and then a win in a playoff. It was just amazing. You couldn't have written a script that probably was any better, and it was great for the game, I'm sure. And now they got to try to follow that up.
Now everyone's convinced that Rory's going to win all four majors this year because obviously Quail Hollow is his course. Oakmont is a good fit. The Open is a place he can win. So we've gone from Rory will never win another major to Rory's going to win all four majors.
Yeah, right. It's tough to win multiple majors in a season and to win back-to-back. We haven't seen that happen. When was the last time we've had? I don't know. That's been a while. Remember the last player to win back-to-back majors?
If I had to guess, I would say it was Tiger. I don't remember anyone.
Wow, we'd have to go that far back.
I think, right? Or did
you might be right.
Spieth might have done it.
Let us know.
His years. Yeah.
I mean, I could take a look at it, but I'll leave it up to the viewers. Let us know. Unless Jared, you can find it. But yeah, I'm sure it's been quite a while. And that's how tough it is. But yeah, you're right. I mean, everything is pointing towards this being as good as a chance as Rory's ever going to get. And maybe his at this state of his career, maybe the only chance he's ever going to get to win the first two majors of the season. So he's got the 4 wins here on this golf course. Yes, it's going to be much tougher, a lot tougher actually, because of the rough. The rough isn't very long at Wells Fargo during regular seasons, but now they've grown it, I believe, over 4 inches. So that's a big difference. So yeah, we're going to get into the trends, the stats that I've got my stats from Fantasy National. Jared can let me know what stats he went with his model. We've got the putting, which is unique. I'll show you the typical model that you would just see. It's not even a model. It's just these are the stats for Bermuda greens, and we'll show those. But there's a little bit of a twist that Jared's going to throw in there as well that you need to keep an eye on. We'll have the correlated courses, and obviously we'll go through the odds on our picks. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. We appreciate all of that. And let us know what's on your mind, especially since this is a live show. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, let us know, and we'll be sure to have a little bit of back and forth here. Okay, let's talk about the course first, Jared. So this is, again, a golf course where typically, and I don't think it's going to change. I mean, it's a ball striker's course. It's tough and it's long. And it's interesting because so is Augusta National. But there are differences, obviously, and the rough definitely being one of those, as I mentioned. And that's the thing that I think evens things out a little bit in a positive way. So it's because if you don't grow the rough, and when all the great players come in here, it's going to be the most powerful, gifted players are going to win. And the shorter guys are going to have no shot. But at least the shorter guys, that they can come into play now with the longer rough.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I'm leaning towards long hitters with my picks. I mean, it's a 7,600 yard par 71. 9 of the par 4s are 449 yards or longer. 3 of them are over 500 yards. I was looking at Fantasy National, the course breakdown. So at Quail Hollow, you have on average 41% of approach shots coming from 200 plus yards. The tour average is 23%. So, nearly twice as many approaches are coming from over 200 yards. So I'm looking at driving distance, and I'm looking at who's best on long approaches from 200 plus, even 175 to 200. Those are the two key things in my model that differentiating my model this week from kind of how I build it most weeks.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Both 175 and 200 over. And then, some of the usuals: ball striking, strokes gains approach, greens in regulation. Obviously, putting is going to be very important. So speaking of putting, again, you could look at it two ways. You could look at it as just, this is what it's supposed to be, Bermuda greens. But then you could also decide that you're going to look at it a different way, Jared, and explain why you're going. So let me ask you a question. And I'll even pop it up here. Let me pop up the Fantasy National. Let me see here. I've got the odds up first. I think this is it. Yeah. No, wait. Let me go to the putting. Okay. So I'm on Bermuda. Mm-hmm. So would you actually go ahead and speak first, and then I'll ask.
Yeah. And I'm a little out of my league here because I'm not an agronomy expert, but I have done some reading and listening to people who are, and they're Bermuda greens at Quail Hollow, but because of the time of year we're in, mid-May, the Bermuda grass isn't really grown in yet. So there's Poa trivialis overseed is what they call it. And we see this on tour quite a bit in these tournaments that are played in the southern United States early in the season. The Bermuda is not growing yet, so they need to use this Poa to make the greens playable. So there are quite a few other courses that use this grass type. The Amex PGA West Memorial, where they have the Texas Houston Open, Harbor Town, Quail. So the other thing to be careful with here too is I'm not using the 2017 PGA Championship at Quail Hollow much because that tournament was played here, but it was played here in August at that point. The PGA was in August in 2017, right? So for that tournament, you did have their Bermuda grown in. So that course played completely different than it plays all the other Wells Fargos when they play here regularly on the PGA Tour. Those tournaments are played this time of year. So the course is going to play much more like that than it did at the 2017 PGA, which was played in August.
So does that mean that you would go down here and actually move this?
Yeah, I love Fantasy National, but one thing they don't have is they don't have that filter.
Yeah.
So what I did is I found this list of courses, and then if you scroll up a little bit, Greg, you can actually hand select courses right there. So I went in and checked those 6 courses that used the Bermuda with Poa overseed. Okay. Checked those. I used the last 3 years. I can tell if you just want to know the top 10 putters on this type of green surface.
Sure.
Over the last 3 years. Number 1, Denny McCarthy. No surprise. He's number 1 in any putter list you're going to look at. Minwoo Lee is 2. 3 is Jason Day. 4, Wyndham Clark. 5, Christian Bezadenhout. 6, Thomas Dietrich. 7, Matt Kuchar. 8, Tom Hoagie. 9, Nico Echeverria. And 10, Xander Schauffele. That's your.
Wow, we finally got to a name of someone who's probably a serious contender, and that's Xander Schauffele. So, and look, that's actually a good thing, because if that's the case, let's say, and there's a little bit more of a crazy variable when it comes to the putting, that's just going to even out the field more, because that means that anything's possible. They're not used to it. So that's a good thing, because there's so much of this week's event, as we're going to go over, that just leads you to believe. And look, I got a bunch of long shots in my picks, but it just leads you to believe that one of the top dogs is going to win this week. So,
yeah. And then unfortunately, this green type is Scotty Scheffler's best surface. Now he's still, what is he? 40th on my list that I came up with. So, he's not amazing, but it's his best surface. And Rory is 24th best on this surface as well. So, I mean, it's a surface that, both those big guns do tend to putt better than average on.
Okay. Let's continue with a couple of other things of note as far as the golf course is concerned. Not only should and look, it's definitely, you can't. Since Justin Thomas won the 2017 PGA Championship, obviously, just sort of like Rory winning 4 at Wells Fargo, even though the course is going to be really different, I think what it does more than anything, it just gives you just a little bit more confidence, maybe. Hey, these are surroundings that I've had success at. I know things were different. But overall, yeah, I don't think you should take too much stock into that as a handicapping tool. Forget about the President's Cup as well, back in 2022, because that was an easy layout. So forget that. But as far as the golf course, this is one of those deals where there's going to be some birdies available. You're going to have some, maybe even an eagle or two available. But once you get to the final stretch, that green mile, 16, 17, and especially 18, you're just hanging on. And I don't know if I'm like, so that's like a US Open kind of end, to tell you the truth. And I'm not sure I'm happy about that. We'd rather see, players going for, winning instead of having to rely on going backwards. But that's a dangerous 3-hole stretch that you can be up 2, maybe even 3 going into those final 3. And you gotta play your best, because there's a lot of trouble around the corner.
Yeah, I believe that 18 here is like one of, if not the hardest single holes on courses that they play every year on the PGA Tour. I think it has like a 4.5 stroke average or something. So the closing stretch is tough, like you said, Greg. It's not the toughest course we've ever seen for the PGA. I think it's going to be easier than something like Oak Hill. It's going to be tougher than last year, Valhalla. There was like a lot of backlash even last year about how easy Valhalla was. I think the PGA might listen to that and try to make this place as tough as possible. The other thing we should get into too, and I don't know if this is on your agenda to talk about, but the weather. It rained there today all day, and it's supposed to rain like all day Tuesday and Wednesday. So that course is going to be like super soft. I think that only favors the Bombers more, because you're just not going to see a lot of run out on drives. It's going to be all carry distance. So that just kind of makes me lean towards Bombers even more.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your situation. It just gives you another angle to shoot for. Yeah, let me see what the latest forecast we have besides, let's see. What city is this? Is this in what city is this?
It's Charlotte. It's Charlotte.
It's still considered Charlotte, right?
I think it's just outside Charlotte, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing rain. I know we're dealing with a lot of rain here ourselves, but I'm west of Charlotte. But it is raining today. Looks like it's going to be, I don't know. It looks like it might have changed a little bit. Are you seeing a change in the forecast?
Oh, I haven't looked since like this morning.
Wow.
I know it's supposed to be nice for the tournament. Like Thursday night, it's supposed to be nice. So it'll firm up.
Hey, look. I don't trust the weatherman anyway. So I was doing the horse racing show for the Kentucky Derby, and we were doing a live show on Tuesday. And yeah, it was 5 days before the event, 4 days before the Friday event. And so I checked out YouTube, and I went to I found a Louisville weatherman. So, all right, got the guy right from the backyard of the Derby. Let me know what the weather is. So he's talking about how the rain is going to stop on Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah, Wednesday, and be a little bit wet on Thursday, but then Friday, it's starting to clear up, and Saturday it's going to be completely dry. And of course, it rained all day on Friday and Saturday. So his weather forecast was awful, which is again why you can't count on these guys as of right now. Let's see. I'm just looking at the weather.com. We've got partly cloudy on Wednesday or Thursday. Like you said, it should be really fine if the weather holds up like this. It's going to be hot. That's something to keep in mind. I'm not sure how many of these guys have been dealing with 87-degree temperatures so far this season. And that's what you're going to get potentially on Friday and Saturday. Little tiny bit of wind, but nothing much 10,
And
12 miles an
guys,
hour.
some of the live guys have had some tournaments in hot temperatures. Maybe that's a little edge for the live guys.
Maybe it is. And maybe another little edge for the live guys could very well be the correlated courses, because not only are here our picks, but these are the similar courses. And one of them, Doral. And live, of course. Now, I have the last 4 years here, but in actuality, I believe the first 2 years was like team. They did some team stuff there. So it's really the last couple of years that, matter of fact, obviously they just played this year. So if you want to check that out, you can. We'll have some stats on that we'll throw in there. So that again could be an edge there, obviously, because only the live golfers are playing on Doral. You know what's interesting is this one being a correlated course, Valhalla.
Yep.
And yet, like you said, there's no way that we're going to expect anything close to 20 under par at the PGA Championship this week.
I definitely see the similarity between the two courses. I think Valhalla is a tougher version of Valhalla.
And then these other two courses, Greenbrier, by the way, on live, I think the last 2 years they've had live, and they're not playing this year at live. So there are a couple of live advantages there, and none of the top golfers play at Punta Cana. So in reality, there's not a lot to go on as far as the similar courses. So keep that in mind. Also making things just a little bit difficult to handicap, especially throwing in, the crazy stuff with the putting with surface that you just talked about. Okay. So now let's get into some trends. And there are some really big time trends for the PGA Championship. Americans have won 9 consecutive PGA Championships. And by the way, Brooks Koepka and Justin Thomas, a couple of Americans, have combined to win 5 of the last 8. Koepka's got 3. Thomas has 2. And let's see, another couple of that are really big. 71% of the last 21 winners registered at least one win in the same year. So that's a pretty big percentage, 71% having a win. And then you have 76% were ranked in the top 25 before winning. And that's only in the last 21. Same thing, last 21, 52% were in the top 5. So half of the last 21, a little over half, ranked in the top 5. And then the last 2 that are pretty interesting, and this might, I don't know, I guess eventually this is going to not count as much because of live. But when Phil Mickelson won in 2021, he broke a streak of 14 consecutive PGA Championship winners who appeared at the golf course without a week off before the PGA. The last 2 winners have also played without a week off. So therefore, 17 of the last 18 winners have played the week before winning the PGA Championship. 17 of 18. That's why I mentioned, because live doesn't play the week before. And then also, Mickelson broke a streak of 17 consecutive winners who registered a top 30 in their previous event coming in. That's a pretty significant streak. And 20 of the last 21 winners registered a top 30 in the previous event. I have to check who won last year.
Xander.
So I have to check on Xander. I'm not sure if I had that updated, but knowing Xander, I'm sure he probably did.
Besides the live guys, and Scotty Scheffler, anyone you want to probably bet on this week played on the PGA Tour last week, because it was an elevated event. But that's
why the live guys. That's the one thing, is just, it could just be, again, that's going to be, that's what I'm saying. That's going to come to an end. Because that's just, but it's an interesting, but who knows? I don't know. Maybe you have to have some momentum coming in here for whatever reason to play the week before. I don't know. I still think that might come to an end, because there's so many live players that are going to be in contention this week. So we'll see. By the way, Schauffele was runner-up the week before. So last year. Okay. So now let's go ahead and break things down. And you got 2 picks, as we saw up there. I range between 6 and 10, and if I usually do 10 like this week, half of them are huge long shots. And because I'm not going with Scheffler and McIlroy. That's why if you look at the field, Jared, seriously, do you ever recall seeing a field this deep where there were so many quality players getting just unbelievably high odds?
No, I don't think I've ever seen a full field event with 3 players sub 10-1.
And that's why you're getting 100 to 1s or 90 to 1s and 150 to 1s on quality players, because these 3 guys are the heavy favorites at under 10 to 1 in a major. You're right. I mean, and there's a lot of players peaking right now too. And these are 3 of them right here. I mean, Scheffler, of course, did nothing, considering how, we're going to compare Scheffler to, Scheffler. He really didn't do anything until his last event. What was he, 31 under par?
Yep, something like that.
So, he destroys the Mickey Mouse golf course, which is still an incredible feat. And then again, you look at Scheffler's. I know in my model. Let me throw my model up there. In my model, Scheffler is like, he's the man. And this isn't. I've done a lot of models, obviously, since I've been using this for the past couple of months, and he's never usually this dominant. But this is just everything is like coming together for Scheffler. And you just feel like he's maybe at that point where he's also a little overdue to win another major outside of Augusta. And that's something he hasn't done yet.
Yeah. Surprisingly, right? I think people don't realize he has not won a major outside of the Masters. Rory comes in first in my model, Scheffler's second. And I'm honestly a little surprised that Rory is not the favorite to win this golf tournament. I think he overall has, undoubtedly had the better season so far. And this is, it's got to be his best course, right? Course that he's gained the most strokes. Of course, he has the most wins. Whereas Scotty he's never played the Wells Fargo, and he played in the President's Cup in 2022, and it was not good. I think he was like 0-4-1 or something. That was before he became, peak Scotty Scheffler. But the fact that he's never played the Wells Fargo tells me there's something about this course he doesn't love. So, for those reasons, if I'm not betting either guy, but if you maybe pick between the 2, I think Rory is more likely to win this than Scheffler.
Yeah, I agree. I think what some people tend to do, and I get it, especially after what happened the last time out with Scheffler, is the knee-jerk reaction to look what he did. He's such a great player, which he is, and then he just did a great thing, forgetting the fact that it was an easy golf course. It was the easiest golf course he's ever going to play at. Yep. So that's nothing like he's going to see this week. And again, the putter, like you said, now if this was strictly Bermuda, he's putting really well coming in here on Bermuda. But with everything that Jared just said, he's now back into if it's more like what Jared's talking about, he's now back in the middle of the pack, basically, with his putter.
Yeah, so, it's still a good surface for him, relatively speaking. So I wouldn't use that as a big knock against him coming to this week. But yeah, going back to the win at what was it, Valero, whatever tournament it was. It was an easy course, and also one of the worst fields we've seen outside of the alt events this season. So
the second choice was like 18 to 1.
Yeah, Spieth was the second best player in the field, and then it was like Stefan Jaeger, I think, was the third best. And it was still an awesome performance from Scheffler. I'm sure if the field was tougher, he still would have won at the score he shot. But I just think Rory's a better bet this week to win.
Yeah, again, that's the other thing, the knee-jerk reaction too, because you're saying that you're going to go with Scotty Scheffler over Rory based on that performance, and throwing out the fact that Rory's won 3 times this year. He's won a Players. Mm-hmm. He's won a Masters. He won earlier in the year, I believe, than he's ever won before on a PGA Tour, on a signature event. Mm-hmm. So everything is going peak Rory like you haven't seen in 15 years, 10 years, and he does deserve to be the favorite.
All that said, I'm betting Bryson.
Yeah, Bryson's odds have dropped from about 11 down to 9 now. And he's your top pick.
Yep. I mean, everyone's betting Bryson, which scares the hell out of me because the guy that everyone bets, never wins. But I mean, I would still bet him at 9.5 because I think he's your winner. So I'm still going to recommend him as a bet. I mean,
you're getting double the money.
Yeah, that's
Rory
right.
And Scotty.
I don't think Rory and Scotty are twice as likely to win. So I think from among the top three, I think Bryson's still the best value there. I just think he's been awesome on Live, which I only put a little bit of stock into, but he did just win their last tournament. You look at how he's done in his last handful of majors. 5th at the Masters this year, last year 6th at the Masters, 2nd at the PGA, wins the U.S. Open, misses the cut at the Open. I think the Open's always going to be a bad spot for him, just the way he plays. All the unpredictability of the Open isn't great for him. But I just look at this golf course. I think it's a perfect fit for Bryson. He's going to be able to bomb it everywhere. Massive advantage off the tee. If the irons are firing, which is always the question, because everything about Bryson too, to me, he's definitely a better putter than Scotty. I think he's a better putter than Rory. So I think he's, to me, he's right there with Rory off the tee. He's the best putter of the three. If his irons are just inconsistent. We even saw it at the Masters. I think, the first day his irons were awesome. And he kind of struggled the rest of the week. He was just kind of cobbling it together. But then the last point on Bryson too is the around the green game used to be a weakness of his. It's not anymore. And you saw that at the Masters. He was awesome. I think he led the field.
Oh yeah,
at the Masters and around the green. So he's kind of added that to his game as well. So to me, just if Bryson brings his A game, I think he's going to win.
Well, like you said, I mean, the long iron game, as we mentioned, is such a big factor this week, and it was a big factor for him at Augusta, and it kept him in it. The problem was off the tee. And again, the difference between Augusta and here is going to be the rough. So Bryson's got to stay out of the rough, and he's got to be more consistent off the tee. So if he could do that, then he's going to be in good shape. But yeah, his iron play, we know he's capable. The long iron play. But, there was, again, a little bit too much inconsistency with that at Augusta. But as you mentioned, he made up for it with just incredible play around the greens. I mean, he was just a magician around the greens at Augusta, and that made up for it. But you can't live on that. And that's what happened to him in the final round. I finally caught up to him.
Oh, yeah. Again, his irons need to be better. He lost, like 3.5 strokes on approach at the Masters. You're not going to win a major doing that. But we've seen he's capable of having a top 10 iron week, and if he does that with the driving and with the putting, that's how he's going to win.
Yeah. So the main thing is drive it like you did at Augusta, but you've got to make sure that iron play is a lot better if you're going to have a chance. And then we'll see the rest. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this all works out because these are 3 great players to start off with. And then we have John Rahm, Schauffele, and Thomas. And now we get to my top pick, and that's JT. And this is not a surprise. We talk about it all the time when we reference things like, boy, man, if that guy just wins, he's going to take off. Now, we say that a lot with players who've never won before. Hey, if that guy finally gets a win, monkey off his back. But we also say it with players who've gone through rough stretches, great players, really good players, haven't won in a while. Boom, they win. All of a sudden, watch out. And I think that's exactly what's going on with JT right now. I think he's got that monkey off his back. He played really well again this past week. His putting, again, I'm just going on Bermuda, but I don't know. What do you have as far as his putting on the other surface?
Let me see. So, I mean, the one thing about Thomas is his putting just in general has been awesome. So he's 51st on my list on these surfaces, which is not bad for him.
Yeah, that's okay.
I mean, he's gained putting in 5 straight tournaments now, and 3 of those have been 4.5 strokes or better, which is crazy because the putter had been an issue for years and years with him, but he's hot right now.
And overall, he's actually been, he's been okay here. He's gotten better each, every like 4 or 8 rounds on the model that I use. So yeah, everything is going really good for Justin Thomas right now. And the thing that I just love the best about it is simply the price.
Yeah.
I mean, right now he's back to being the old Justin Thomas, and the old Justin Thomas means that he's up there with the best of them, and you're getting 22 to 1. So now with Schauffele, if Schauffele was playing like normal Xander Schauffele, I mean, I pick him this week. But then again, if he was playing like normal Xander Schauffele, he'd be 8-1. Because if you look at it, he won Valhalla last year. He's won the Greenbrier. He's had 2 runner-ups on this golf course, at the Wells Fargo. So there's a lot to like there, but his game is just not where he needs it to be right now. There's too many other players to choose from.
Yep, I think he's getting close, though. I'll say that. He had the unbelievable, I think we talked about it on the Masters preview, the unbelievable approach performance at Valspar, the tournament before Augusta for him. And then he gained on approach again at Augusta, 3.4 strokes, and has gained on approach in his last 2 as well. He's gained off the tee in 2 of his last 3. The short game starting to come around. I mean, just look at his results. 12th at Valspar, 8th at the Masters, 18th at Heritage, 11th at Truist. Like, he's getting close. I'm with you, Greg. I think he's not quite to like peak form yet, which he needs to be to win this. He also won the PGA Championship last year, and I think going back to back is kind of tough to bet on. So yeah, it would not shock me if he won. He'll definitely be on my radar for the U.S. Open. If we get a number like this for the U.S. Open, he'll probably be on my betting card because I think he's getting close. But I don't think he's quite there yet.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him sort of like have just to see like maybe his numbers start to head the right direction. Maybe, keep him around top 10 or top 15 for a couple of events, but don't win. And then that'll keep his numbers down. And then we can hopefully take advantage of that. John Rahm, meanwhile, he's just not feeling it right now. He's not having a great year at LIV, even though I believe he's had a bunch of top 10s, but he hasn't won. And I mean, he did nothing at Augusta. So there's he's just off his game right now.
Yep. I mean, look at his last 4 majors: 45th at the Masters, missed a cut at last year's PGA, 7th at the Open in 2024, but he was never really, contending to win that. And then 14th at the Masters earlier this season, was never really contending to win that. So it's been a while since he contended in major.
Morikawa, Oberg, Neiman, and Hatton. And out of this group here, actually, I have my one of my picks. And yes, I haven't done this before, but I'm going to go ahead. He's not a top pick, but it's Joaquin Neiman.
Nice.
Because he just doesn't perform in majors. That's the problem. I don't know if he's ever had a top 10 in a major. If he has, it's like 1. So I don't think he's had one, though. I don't think he's had no success in majors. That's a big problem, especially at 30-1. But the guy has 3 wins on the LIV. Rahm doesn't have any, and Neiman has 3. That has to count for something, you would think. Eventually, you would expect him to play well, and maybe this is a good week for him to play well.
Yeah, 16th is his best finish at a major, which is crazy because I think Neiman's a top 10 player in the world. Now, he hasn't shown it yet. He needs to show it soon, or else I can't have that take anymore.
I know.
But I think it's a good course for him. He hits it plenty long. He's a good long iron player. Joaquin Neiman won the Greenbrier before he went to LIV.
Yeah,
there's a connection there. That's good. I wish the number was bigger. Like I think even for the Masters, I think he was like 40 or 50-1. I'm a little surprised he's down at 30, but again, I don't think it's not deserved. I think this group of players is kind of where he belongs talent-wise. He just needs to show it at a major.
Yeah, maybe it's quite possible that that's what happened. Is that beginning of the week, a lot, especially people who are LIV guys, went, wait a second, he's 3 wins, 50-1 or whatever he was, 40, 45. So maybe a lot of money went on him early this week. I wouldn't be surprised if this backed up to like 35 Agreed. Or 40, maybe even by tee off time on Thursday. And then also in this list, Morikawa, it's just another one of these players that, unlike JT, has not gotten the monkey off his back. And that is the reason why I just can't take him right now. I don't know whether or not this is the event that he just goes out there and gets a W. So I'm a little bit concerned with Morikawa because of that.
Yeah, man, I bet Morikawa often at majors, and I was on him when he won PGA at Harding Park. I was on him when he won the Open. So the guy's made me money. Not recently. I'm not on him this week, despite him being 25-1, which is a number I don't think we've seen on Morikawa in a while now.
Yeah,
I think 20, maybe 22 is like the highest he's been all of this year so far. It's not a good course fit for him, right? I mean, it's long. He's like 100. He's 100 something in this field in driving distance. So that's going to be a disadvantage. But he is really good with his long irons. So like if he's hitting fairways and hitting his long irons well, I mean, I wouldn't fault anyone for taking the 25 and more because I do think it's a pretty good number.
Okay, out of this group, yes, believe it or not, I'm going to do it. And I am going to put Tommy as one of my top picks.
Greg.
I know. But the reason I'm going to do it is a couple of reasons. One is that it's a nice number. Okay. It's almost 50-1. It's not 30. It's not 25. It's almost 50-1. Secondly, we know how good Tommy is in majors. Career-wise, he has 7 top 5s, 2 runner-ups. He's also trending in the right direction. His game is really on top right now where he needs to be. He's got back-to-back top 10s coming in, a solid 4th, good Sunday just a few days ago. So there is a lot to – I mean, he's good success at Wells Fargo. He's had some career and again, this is just a player that is obviously way overdue. But yeah, I would not even touch him at 30. Like if he was in Joaquin Neiman territory, which it wouldn't surprise me if he was, and Neiman was 45. But I'm getting 45, so I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of it. Cantlay, I was thinking about it, and even though there's a lot to like about Cantlay, 10 of 10 cuts this year, 6 top 15s, 3 top 5s. You know, his game is really solid. He does have 5 top 10s in majors, nothing special, only 2 top 5s, but one of them was in the PGA Championship. Unfortunately, that was way back in 2019. With all the success Patrick Cantlay has had, he does not perform that well in majors. He's coming in playing well, but the problem is, which is the thing that I just can't take him, is he hasn't won since 2022.
Yep. Yeah, so just going back to Tommy, he is 5th in my model. So like from a numbers perspective, like he's a great bet at 45-1. I just don't believe in him to close the deal. I mean, we haven't seen him do it in any PGA tournament, and to do it in a major would be, I'd like to see it, but I definitely won't be on him. Yeah, you know, after betting Bryson, I kind of had one bet left in this territory. I looked hard at both Cantlay and Hideki. Ended up betting the guy I ended up going with instead, who I'm sure we'll get to next. But I think Cantlay and Hideki, 45 is a good number on both those guys. I know Cantlay hasn't won in a long time, but his ball striking's been awesome lately. And then Hideki, you know, he's won a major. Went through a rough stretch after winning the Century this year, but the last 2 times out, the Masters and Truist, his ball striking has come back. So I think, you know, he kind of could be a sneaky look this week.
The problem that I was seeing, though, and again, I haven't looked at your stats yet, is that his putting has just really been off.
He's just not a good putter in general. And you're right, even on this Bermuda with the POA overseed, he's 131st in the field in putting. So that was actually the reason I did not bet Hideki.
Now, of course, you know, Koepka is always going to be looked at, and as well he should, with the 3 PGA wins, but he is not on top of his game this year. Yep. So I don't think Brooks is the way to go. But hey, if you want to take advantage of him at 45-1, as great as he can just rise to the occasion in majors, go for it. But your long shot pick is here, and you're going to go ahead and take Victor Hovland, who's right now at a very, very enticing 50-1.
Yeah, I like the number. I mean, I think you could make him 30-1 and it wouldn't look off. I mean, the guy's won already this year. I mean, first of all, what a strange dude he is. I mean, just the results and listening to him talk about golf and how, you know, like when he won at where did he win? Valspar, like he thought his game was still in rough shape at that point. He goes out and wins a tournament. So just a tough guy to peg, but we know the upside is there. Again, he's already won this season. He ended up second at Valhalla last year. We hadn't talked about that as a comp course to Quail Hollow. Yep. So I like that. He was second at the PGA when it was at Oak Hill. So he's had success at this tournament. I just think his ceiling is good enough to win this. I also like, I mean, one, he's an excellent driver when he's on. He's plenty long enough. He's plenty straight enough. And then you look at his performance on these long approach shots. If you look just this season, just 2025, he is the best player in the field from 175 to 200 yards. And he is the 12th best player in this field from 200 plus yards. So wow. I think it's a good course fit for Victor Hovland.
Yep. Here it is. As on my model, there he is, first 175 to 200. So anyway, that makes a lot of sense. And again, more than anything, you're getting 50-1 on a player of his caliber. Okay. Jordan Spieth is just, he's one. Man, every time you think that he's ready to take that next step, it just doesn't happen. Yeah. And this is also going on. It sort of like reminds me in a way of Tommy Fleetwood right now, except I'm not talking about career, just talking about over the past couple of years. It's like just when you think, all right, I'm going to go ahead and take him, he disappoints you. Yep. So I know he had the injury too, but there's no injury excuse anymore. He just can't get on a roll. Sort of like Justin Thomas. He hasn't been able to break through and get that win.
I actually think Spieth's going to win this year. I don't think it's going to be a major. He of course is going for the career Grand Slam. He still needs the PGA. So wouldn't that be funny if 2 majors in a row we get a career Grand Slammer? But the other thing with Spieth is he hasn't been good at Quail Hollow. He's only played here 3 times. One of them was way back in 2013. He's played here the last 2 years, missed the cut in 2023 and came 29th in 2024.
So that's interesting. I like that. He needs the PGA Championship for a career major.
Career Grand Slam, yep.
Career Grand Slam. I like that. I like that little whatever you want to call it.
Tie in with Rory, yep.
Yeah. Okay. He might be worth a couple bucks.
It's not going to happen, but would be fun.
But hey, he's 50-1. Yeah. I mean, Okay. Shane Lowry, boy, did he screw it up at the end of that event on Sunday.
That's what he's done since winning that major.
Yep, the putter just let him down big time. Yep. And his putting game not very good on Bermuda, so I have no idea how it is on this particular
I'm sure it's not good, let me tell you. It is 168.
Oof.
Out of
wow.
He's dead last.
Holy.
The worst putter. And
the model's not good for him either. So, it doesn't look good for Shane Lowry this week. I also don't think Corey Connors, who was hot earlier this year, but I don't know. He's not as hot right now. And I don't believe these types of majors, I don't think we've had a lot of Corey Connors success.
Well, he was there. He was there at Oak Hill.
Okay.
But it's tough. He's not a long player. He's going to have to be, near perfect, I think, to win this. And he's another guy, he's won the Valero a couple times, but outside of that, he's just, I don't trust him to close the deal in a major. Decent, like top 20 bet, I think, but not to win.
Yeah. All of his top 10s in majors have been at Augusta, but yes, he did have the 9th last year. Let's actually has 4 top 10s in the Masters. Mm-hmm. And 5 career top 10s in majors. His best PGA finish was in 2023 when he was 12th. Okay. But then again, that's Corey Connors. He's Mr. Top 25.
Yep.
Russell Henley was a big disappointment at Augusta. Usually a good putter. So I don't know if that'll be an advantage for him, but psychologically, after the way he played at Augusta, it's like he peaked at Bay Hill. And then all of a sudden, maybe the wind just, how sometimes golfers, of course, they get their first win and it takes them a while to get going again. I know Russell, of course, has wins, but it's almost like that's what happened. He had that big groundbreaking victory, the way he won, chipping in, and all of a sudden everybody's thinking, hey, has Russell Henley turned the corner? And then all of a sudden, it's like back to Russell Henley just not really turning the corner.
Yeah, I mean, 65-1's like, I think he's better than the other players in this range. So I think that'd be the argument for him.
Outside of Straka, though.
Sepp's my guy. I'm so mad I wasn't on him last week. He was on my short list. I didn't get to him. The thing about Sepp is I like Sepp on short courses because he's not a long driver. And that's why I'm not on him this week. He's not a long driver, and he's really good with his wedges, with those, shorter approach shots. He's still good on long irons, but he's not as dominant as he is on the short stuff. So I'm not on Sepp for that reason. Same deal with Henley. Like, he's not a long hitter. He plays long courses well from time to time. Again, he won Bay Hill. He was up there when the U.S. Open was at Torrey Pines and Rahm won. I want to say Henley was like maybe even in the final group that Sunday. He tends to play long courses better than you'd think, but it's just still not for me this week.
Yeah, and it's also very tough to win the week before a major and then the major. I mean, that doesn't, even the great players don't do that.
Yep.
Okay. In this group, I do have a pick, and no, it's not Jason Day. It's Patrick Reed.
Nice.
So obviously like the way that he played at Augusta, that helps. but also he's really starting to play good at Live right now. Over his last several events, he's playing his best golf. He was 7th at Doral. Talked about that. The putter game, while it was very good at Bermuda, don't know how it is here. But he's had some success at Wells Fargo on the golf course before. Yep. And by the way, he was 2nd in 2017, just so everybody knows, to Justin Thomas. But most importantly, 90-1. It's a big number. So,
yeah, 90-1 on a major winner who's playing well and has good course history. I mean, I think it's a good bet. He was definitely on my short list.
Wyndham Clark, I kind of feel the same way with Spieth and maybe Fleetwood at times. It's just when you think, okay, now's a good time because Wyndham's getting good odds. Look at the odds on Wyndham Clark, 90-1. Here's a guy who's won Wells Fargo just a couple of years ago, and he's 90-1. But he's just he can't play. I don't think he could play even 3 good rounds this season. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've kind of been chasing Wyndham Clark betting wise since he won the U.S. Open, and hasn't worked for me. He's a good fit here. He won here a couple of years ago. He's long off the tee. The reason I didn't get on Wyndham, because I did consider him, is that he this year has been really bad with his long irons. He's 143rd in this field from 200 plus yards. Wow. So it's funny. Usually a lot of the power players are good with their long irons, but it's not the case for Wyndham. So that was kind of what knocked him off my list of bets.
By the way, Jason Day is a 2018 Wells Fargo champ, but Jason's game is just not where he needs it to be.
He also withdrew last week with a neck issue, which is always worrisome when you're talking about Jason Day and his injury history.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He withdrew from the Truist.
Oh, I know Thigala also withdrew.
Yep.
And then Rose withdrew, but he was ill.
Yep.
So
illness for Rose. I think Sahith might have been a back. So I think Sahith and Jason Day, might be legitimately questionable for.
Well, that's not good for Jason Day, as we know.
No. Nope.
So, and it's unfortunate because Jason actually has been pretty healthy for the past couple of years. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it was just a little minor thing, and he knows his body now, and he's not taking any chances. Let's just hope that is for him. Okay, so now in this group, I went ahead and took Rose and again, I got some big long shots here. But if you look at Justin, he was 6th last year at Valhalla. We know he can putt. I don't know about on this surface, but I mean, he was doing well in Bermuda. He has good performances at Wells Fargo on this golf course before. And obviously we know what happened at Augusta. And I just think, and I said this when I took him, because you know how often I like taking him at Augusta, but he's had a good year. He's had good results at big events. Now, has he been consistent? No, but he's shown that he can play big time golf at big events. And I'm just, I think that's kind of where he is in his career right now, is when the big events come around. This is what so at 100-1, I just figured, why not?
Yeah. He's looking to peak 4 times a year, or maybe 5 this year with it being a Ryder Cup year. But the performance in the Masters earlier this year, and look at his results at the PGA Champion. I hadn't even seen this. This kind of makes me interested in betting Justin Rose. Last 5 times at the PGA, so starting in 2020, 9th, 8th, 13th, 9th, and 6th. I don't remember him really being in the mix to win any of those, but he's been top 10 in 4 of the last 5, 13th in the others. Really strong PGA Championship history.
And keep in mind, he did not have a good run at Augusta coming in. He had great history at Augusta, but he had 4 or 5 straight years where he was not playing well. And then boom, almost won it. And Daniel Berger, he's just not ready to win a major, but he's got to go out there, get a win first. That's the first thing. Get a win. I know things are going good for him after the injury. But overall, I don't even think Berger's had a ton of success in majors. And his putter, too, has been an issue.
Yeah. I looked at, going back to guys slightly higher, I looked at Minwoo Lee. I didn't bet him, but I looked at him because he is a bomber. He's 2nd in this field in driving distance, and he's a good putter. And I think, that combination is going to play.
Oh, he's good. Is good putting on this surface?
Yeah. Well, let me see. Yes, he's 2nd.
Okay.
So he's 2nd in the field in driving distance and the 2nd best putter on this surface. I think his irons are usually an issue. we saw, and obviously Minwoo got his first win about a month ago, which I like to see that. So, and he was on my short list, didn't end up betting him, but I do think this course makes sense for Minwoo Lee.
Well, that's good because Minwoo had been struggling on Bermuda. So it's good that that's not the case now. Then in this group, the one that sticks out to me is my pick. And I went ahead because I had some options with the long shots. And I was looking for a couple of guys to throw in there. And I threw in Keegan. And really, it's just a matter of, Keegan's had most of his success major-wise, obviously, in the PGA with his 2011 win. He doesn't have great major success, but most of it, all of it's really come at the PGA Championship. He was runner-up at the Wells Fargo a couple of years ago, and he's just, he's solid. And really, all you're looking for, and Bradley's one of these guys that doesn't have to be trending in order to win a big event. He could just be going out there with 35th and 54th and a missed cut, and then boom, he can win. That's just, especially a lot of that has to do with him actually getting a hot putter for a week. So
that's always been his bugaboo. Yeah, his putter has been ice cold. His ball striking has been awesome. He is gaining off the tee on approach almost every tournament since February. But he's also lost putting 4 straight, 5 of his last 7. I mean, if he can get a hot putter, his ball striking has been good enough to, at least compete in a tournament like this.
McIntyre is not really on top of his game right now. It'd be nice to see him maybe get going. He's a good, talented player. But, I'm just not seeing it. Maverick does not have any success at majors. That's like the next step for Maverick. But, hey, give him time. I mean, he was, he's the injury and he breaks out. It's incredible that he's in the top 15 in the world right now. But that's the next step. He's got to start having some success in the majors.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of these guys in this range, like you look at the numbers, 110, 120.
That's what I'm saying. It's just crazy.
It's tempting, but like, that's
why you got to go. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah. I struggle to see these guys winning. I think a lot of them are good top 10 bets, top 20 bets, but can they actually get over the line and win this thing? I'd be a little surprised. And you just look at the history of the PGA. You went over it earlier, Greg. I mean, Phil Mickelson's the only like super long shot that's won this in a pretty long while.
He broke all the trends. Yeah.
Yep.
Garcia. And look, it takes someone like Phil Mickelson to do it. That's why if you're going to take players down here, take a Justin Rose,
sure.
Take a Patrick Reed, take a major winner, somebody that could just put it together in 1 week, like a Keegan Bradley. Garcia's having a pretty decent year. He's actually had a pretty decent couple of years on Live. Sam Burns. I mean, the thing with Sam, and we've talked about this before, is that he hasn't had a lot of success in the majors, but one top 10, by the way, in majors. But the model, my model, he's been getting better. Obviously, he has been getting better. He went through a bad stretch. He started to get a lot better. He was actually there. I think he was 8 under par, looking like he could do something on Sunday and keep the peak going. And then he had a bad day. I think he was 3 over par. Now, I'm not going to just throw that away and say now he's going to go back to having a bad run, but it's 120-1 player with a lot of talent. So, and then, I mean, Dustin Johnson, what do you think the reason is that Dustin Johnson is no longer an elite player?
I mean, I don't know the guy. Maybe this isn't true, but I feel like to some extent he has to have just mailed it in.
It doesn't care. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he got his money. It's just, and to compete at this level, like you need to be all in. He's probably 90% of the way there, but that's just not good enough.
Cam Smith, you know how I like Cam.
130. Wow.
Yeah. If he was 50-1, I would have passed. When I saw 130, I was like, he's on my list. I have to take, because he's actually playing his best golf of the year now on the Live Tour. He's got 3 straight top 10s. He was 7th his last event a couple of weeks ago, or 2 events prior, but he really played well. He was right there at the end. I just did not play well, I should say, on the final round, but he was there. He's just too talented to be 130-1. So if he was off his game, I'd say something, but like I said, he's playing his best golf of the year. Keith Mitchell, boy, Keith Mitchell is his, just everything that he's done this year is amazing, because his odds are going to be big and deservedly so. But he's playing his best probably golf that we've seen him ever play. The problem is he's got two big issues that you cannot have as a professional golfer. One, your putting game can just be a disaster. And two, you suck on Sundays.
Yep.
That combination is lethally bad on the PGA Tour. And that's the problem. He just can't get over this. It's amazing. Have you ever seen, now I'm not saying because it's a major, but he must be like a great pick. And I don't know why I haven't even thought about it or taking advantage of it, but how do you not take advantage of Keith Mitchell the next time he's in a regular PGA Tour event in the first round?
Yep. I was just going to say, I bet him first round leader. I think he's been first round leader at least twice this season, if not more.
Oh, more than that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. But he's allergic to winning. I think it was either last year or 2 years ago. I had him at at Valspar, and he had the lead going into Sunday, and he was out of about like the fourth hole.
Yeah,
he was like +4 through the first 4 holes, and he went from leader through round 3 to out of it in like 4 holes.
Yeah.
At that point, I said never betting Keith Mitchell again, and it hasn't cost me so far.
Batia is a really good player.
That's my guy. That's my guy.
He had a good Masters.
This range, yeah. I'm still just buying stock and actually long term. I think he's going to win a major at some point in his career.
Sure, absolutely.
Tough course for him because he's not long off the tee, but he's really good with his long irons. He's 13th in this field from 175 to 200. He's 6th in this field from 200 plus. So like he's going to be hitting longer approach shots than most players, but he's very good at those type of shots. I do think he can hang around.
Spawn, I think could be a sneaky top 10, top 20 player. Keep an eye on him. His game is heading in the right direction. He's had 2 runner-ups, obviously, including the players playoff loss to Rory. I was looking at him as Max. Everybody's including. I mean, wow. I don't even. All I know is that he's starting to play a little bit better, a little bit. So
a little bit.
Not this week, but and he's never really been a good major player anyway. So
yep. Has been good at this. Has been good at this course. Has a win here.
That's right. He does.
That was like a different player at this point.
And here is one of my top picks. This is my best big pick of the week, Brian Harman. So I really liked the way his game was going, including he was playing well RBC. Last time out was his like worst event, so it's not like it's great coming in, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to just say because of one bad event he's not 50-1. He's 180-1, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. He has some success at Wells Fargo, at Greenbrier. He had a pretty decent run here in 2017. So yeah, I kind of like where Brian Harman's game is right now. And if he can just be a little bit more consistent, and of course, get off to a good start. I think he's that type of player. It doesn't have the power game. I get that, but look, it's one of the situations, as we said. It's not Wells Fargo PGA Tour. It's a major, so maybe this could benefit him a little bit more. This is just all because of the 180-1. I just can't believe he's getting 180-1.
Yeah, I mean, why not? The guy is a major winner. He has a win already this season. He was 3rd 2 starts ago at Heritage. Like it's not a good course fit for him, but he's he's already won a major, and that wasn't the best course fit for him either. So he can do it.
Novak has to start playing majors, but he's an interesting story. He's going to win on the PGA Tour soon, maybe even this year. Thigala, boy, talk about disappointing players. He just has not played well.
Nope, nothing working for him. Nothing going well for him.
Nope. Ricky's got a really good history at Wells Fargo. He's coming off his best result in a while, and he's 200-1, but he's never won a major. Harris English had a really good win earlier this year. Other than that, you look at it and, his majors, he's got 3 top 10s in the U.S. Open, but outside of that, he hasn't had a whole lot of success, but maybe keep an eye on him at the U.S. Open.
Top 20 in 3 of his last 4 starts. I mean, I think if I'm going to bet someone down this low, English would be who I would look at.
And let's see, rounding out, Bud Cauley's been a nice story. Hopefully he'll continue to play well. Ben Griffin, another player that needs to get the monkey off his back with a win. Cam Young Hey, we saw a Cam Young sighting last week, a couple of days ago. How about that?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Kurt Kitayama is the one you skipped over. That's interesting to me. Because I look at my model, he's 25th in my model, and I'd have to. I can dig deeper. I'm pretty sure that's because he's long off the tee and he's good with his long irons. Yeah, he's 6th in this field in driving distance. He's 5th in this field from 200 plus yards.
Okay,
so he's just a good fit. He has had a really bad season overall.
Yeah,
He's been better lately. His driver's kind of back. He gained 2.8 on approach last time out at the Byron Nelson. So he's at least going to be on my radar going forward. I think he's a good player that just kind of went through a cold stretch the last few months. So he's going to be on my radar. I don't think he's going to win this, but I think he could be a potential winner. One of these lesser events later on this year.
And who would have thought, though, that Cameron Young would be 250 to 1 right now, though? That's just crazy.
Oh.
There's Mickelson. We'll see him again. And I think that pretty much Alex Noren's healthy again, so that's nice.
Yeah, he played last week. That was good to see.
Yeah. I also saw who else played? I think it was, was it last week? Yeah, last week. It was Aaron Wise.
Yeah, so he was in the alt event, right?
Because he was out for a while, so he's been back. So good for him. Hopefully he'll keep going, because we know the kid's a very talented player. But it's one of those players that just disappears for a while. He's got the injuries, you got this, that, and the other thing. And then hopefully we'll see him again real soon in contention on the PGA Tour. All right, so that is going to wrap it up. Anything else, Jared? Any wild card thoughts? Anything that you're going to be really looking at going into this week?
No, I'll do it. I'm hoping for another Sunday as good as we get. Half as good as we got.
Come on now.
That'd be awesome.
That doesn't. What would that have to be, though? Let's close with that. Give me a scenario.
I think it would be Spieth in the mix going for the Grand Slam.
Okay.
It'd be like a Spieth Rory final group with like Bryson and Scotty in the mix as well.
Okay, that'll work. We can live with that. All right. So don't forget, we will. What's the schedule like, actually? Because the signature.
I don't know, but I'm going to the U.S. Open in a month.
Oh,
so I'm once this is over, I'm looking forward to that. I know I think the Canadian Open is the week before the U.S. Open. So let's see. We got Charles Schwab. Which that's not elevated. So Charles Schwab is next week. Then Memorial, elevated, Canadian Open, and then U.S. Open.
Okay, so are there any signature events before the U.S. Open?
The Memorial is
Memorial
in 2 weeks, 2 tournaments away.
And at least it's not the week before the U.S. Open, so that's good.
Yep.
Because that's just the week before or after a major is. I just wish they would stop that.
Agreed.
Doesn't make any sense, but at least we'll get the Memorial, so that's good. And then the U.S. Open at Oakmont. So you're not. So you are. What is the? I know you live up in the Northeast, even though that's like not driving distance, but.
Oh yeah, I'm driving. It's like a 4 or 5 hour drive. It's outside of Pittsburgh, so I'll be there on Saturday and Sunday.
Excellent. Well, enjoy yourself. That should be a lot of fun. And it's not like Augusta, so you'll be able to have your phone in there, or how does that work with the majors?
Yeah. This will be my 3rd major. At the first, I've been to 2 PGA championships, and phones were allowed at both of those. So I think it's
okay.
Just Augusta. That's the no phone policy.
Well, you'll have to do some, I don't know, report from Oakmont. Take a little bit of a 1-minute video with the backdrop or something, and then just email it to me, and I'll post it up on the channel.
I'll do one of the videos of dropping the golf ball in the rough to see how long the rough is.
There you go.
I always like those. So yeah, I don't know about a video, but I'll if nothing else, I'll text you or tweet out anything I see there.
Well, when are you leaving?
We're heading down Friday.
Okay. So during the day on Friday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll be. I can do the preview with you.
Okay.
On
that's
Monday
cool.
Or Tuesday. Yep.
All right. Well, we'll figure that for sure. And we still have a lot of golf to go here on the channel. So don't forget to subscribe, link, and share. We appreciate all of that. And that'll wrap it up. So Jared. Oh, and by the way, we'll have a link in the description also for Jared and his full-time gig, which is fantasy football over at Draft Sharks. And this is still an important time of year, because dynasty leagues, matter of fact, our league, we're going to be drafting. We're going to have a rookie draft soon.
That's right. Yeah, big dynasty time. And then the best ball drafts are going as well. So we're ready to go no matter what you're doing.
All right. Well, Jared and I have got to talk Dynasty football now, so we're going to say goodbye to everybody. We'll see you next time here on ProLine TV.